Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. Today is May 24th, 2022. Let's talk NBA. Let's talk about some bets on the board that right now appeal to me. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, first, let's come to grips with the fact that the Golden State Warriors are going to come out of the Western Conference. In terms of props, right now, some casinos are offering for MVP of the NBA Finals, Steph Curry, at a plus 100. Right? I like that play. I like it a lot. Let's add another name to this. Now keep in mind, Steph Curry, even money. There isn't a lot of wiggle room. As a backup, right now they're offering you Jimmy Butler at plus 500. Now I don't know whether the Heat make it out of the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about it. But I think at these odds, you're simply not going to do better. The minute the Golden State Warriors officially make the finals, in other words, they have to win a fourth game against the Dallas Mavericks, good luck getting Steph Curry at even money. Understand, too, Steph Curry is the face of the franchise. He's still the guy in Golden State. Klay Thompson is still bouncing back from injury. I'll agree that Klay Thompson can score threes as well as anyone I've seen. Klay Thompson is always a threat to drop 5 threes on you. But Klay Thompson at this stage isn't the defender Curry is. Doesn't get the assists Curry gets. Right? Curry is really iconic. Let's face it too. I know for hardcore basketball types, we deeply appreciate the work of Andrew Wiggins, right? Wiggins is excellent defensively. Wiggins brings an athleticism most of the other Warriors don't have, right? Plain and simple. But Wiggins is more of a Scottie Pippen than he is a Michael Jordan. Curry will cut your throat. He'll score over 30 points. Great players are lethal. Wiggins is the guy who is content just fitting in, being the final piece of the puzzle, right? He does the dirty work. Hardcore basketball fans know the team couldn't survive without his defense. He brings a lot to the table. But he's a 2, he's not a 1. Right? I would argue he's more beta than alpha. Also, Steph Curry has been to the finals, right? Steph Curry has won an NBA Finals. Wiggins, not yet, right? So right now, the 2 bets I like on the board are Curry, even money. You pay a lot because you're getting a lot. Golden State likely is going to be favored in the NBA Finals, right? Steph Curry, even money. You won't be complaining if you bet $10 and then the series is over and, oh, guess what? You get the $10 in profit plus the $10 back, right? Even if you hedge it with $2 on Butler, okay, fine. So you net $8. I think you'll live for another day. Now let's talk about Game 4, just briefly, of that Western Conference Finals. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, the Warriors are going to give that away. Oh, the Warriors want to win, the Western Conference on their home court. Oh, the Warriors might lack urgency. Folks, you're kidding yourself. The Warriors have been in the postseason enough to understand the value of rest. They recognize that at a minimum, Miami and Boston are going to have to play 2 more games, at a minimum, perhaps 3 more games, right? Golden State understands if they beat Dallas in Game 4, and right now, believe it or not, Dallas is favored in that game. If Golden State beats Dallas in Game 4, Golden State gets huge rest. Huge rest. Understand, Golden State's going to be the road team in the playoffs, in the finals. They get to come back to the Bay. They get huge rest. They get to work Gary Payton Jr. back into the rotation. Understand, he's injured right now. He's one of their best defenders. He means a lot to the team. You think Golden State wants to have that series against Dallas linger? Dallas, let's face it, is really a one-man team. It's Luka. And Luka's not a defender. Right? That's the long and short of it. Golden State should win Game 4. Experienced teams in the finals know they need to choke you out as soon as they have you gagging for air. Golden State's not going to let this linger, in my opinion. Right? I think Golden State gains too much by closing out the series here and by having the extra time, not having to prepare for a Game 5. Right? Not having the emotional toll of traveling back to the Bay Area, dealing with the local press. Okay, now let's go out and play Game 5. We can't afford to throw this one away because then there's a Game 6 and we'd have to travel back to Texas for that. No, I think Golden State puts their foot on the gas, and understand, it has consequences and repercussions. If Golden State closes out Dallas in Game 4, then whoever comes out of the Eastern Conference is going to be an underdog. That Game 1 of the NBA Finals, you'd need to be loaded for bear because that would be a prime opportunity for Golden State to steal home court advantage. A rested Golden State team that's had time to be with their families, sleep in their own bed, heal from injuries, shake off the rust, plan for either team. Right? So just understand that Game 4 has consequences. If Golden State wins it, you need to at least have an increased amount of your betting portfolio on the Warriors at that point to win it all. Now let's talk about what happened in Game 4 of the Miami Heat-Boston series. Right? And it's my belief that the winner of Game 5 is going to come out of the East. Now, I want you to understand how bad Miami was collectively. Miami starters for the entire game scored a grand total of 18 points. Right? Bam scored 9 points. Couldn't score. We hear about his defense and other things. He had 6 boards. Folks, he didn't play 10 minutes or 20 minutes. He played 27 minutes and 44 seconds. He had 6 boards. His plus minus was a minus 16. Jimmy Butler had 6 points. Butler's a key person here, right? Because Butler, with a knee that had him leave the prior game, goes out there and still plays more than 25 minutes in a game where the Heat start so poorly that they only had 1 point after more than half of the first quarter passed. In other words, 1/8 of the game, they only had 1 point. What was Jimmy Butler still doing out there with a knee that gets so inflamed that he had to leave a game in this series? Right? That's the problem with having the Michael Jordan mindset. Right? Jordan, perhaps my favorite player all time. But understand, Jordan was always going in 4th gear. Right? He was always pushing it. The same thing applies to Jimmy Butler. There are some days when you need to say, hey, it's not our night. right? When you've scored 1 point and more than 6 minutes have passed in the game, and you're down by double digits before you even had an opportunity to blink your eyes, folks, that game is over, especially when, of course, the game is in Boston, right? That game is over. Butler should have been on the bench with the coach. Somebody should have given him a set of pom-poms, right? The attitude needed to be, player, let's rest you for a game that we have a chance to win. And let's be real, right? Some games are just not winnable. Yesterday's game wasn't winnable for the Miami Heat. Butler should have sat. Now, where things get dicey, by the way, let me point out too, you see Bam's numbers, folks, there's a correlation. When Robert Williams, who is quickly convincing me that he is the most important player on the Boston Celtics, plays, Bam Adebayo is shut down. Shut down. Now understand, Williams had meniscus surgery. Williams is not 100%. Williams can't play every day. He's missed games. He missed the game before this last game, right? Boston's young coach wisely limited Williams' minutes. When you're winning a game in a blowout, there's no reason to have a guy who is very valuable, who has a tender knee out there. So Williams only played 18 minutes and 38 seconds. Just understand, he shuts down Bam Adebayo. Now here's what I want people to consider, and it's the story here. The Miami bench. Would it shock you to know that only one guy on the Miami bench had a negative plus minus? In other words, when they were on the court, the team scored more than the other team, right? And that was Dwayne Dedmon, who had a negative plus minus of -1. In other words, folks, Miami has strength in numbers. There are a lot of guys out there who can hold their own when they get on the court, right? Also, I know we're all celebrating Boston's win, at least Boston Celtic fans are. But I want you to consider the defense they were up against. Jaylen Brown took 20 shots. Folks, he hit 5 of them. Jason Tatum, I'm hearing, oh, we had a great game. Okay. What's the shooting percentage? 60%? No. He took 16 shots. He hit 8 of them. By the way, Tatum, as people know, my views from an earlier video, is unreliable. Right? He'll have a bad game out of every 4. Folks, he had a bad game the game before this game. Right? He's not a LeBron. He's not a Jordan. He's not a Durant. It's not like when a big game comes along, you say, well, look, hell, I understand anybody can have a bad game, but I know that if LeBron has a bad game, he's still going to score 22 points here. Right? Understand, that's not Jason Tatum. By the way, Derek White, who started the game red hot, 14 shot attempts. He hit 4 of them. So I'm not convinced that Boston, who looked dominant yesterday, from a distance, before you got into the analytics, before you looked at the stats, I'm not sure that either of these teams has a distinct advantage. Right? The series is knotted at 2-2. The only distinct advantage I see is the home court. Miami has 2 of the games at home of the possible 3 remaining. If I'm the rookie head coach of the Boston Celtics, I look at Robert Williams and I realize I need him for Game 6 because that's the game we have the best chance of winning. Right? Williams played in Game 4. I don't want Williams playing extended minutes in Game 5 because that knee might flare up And if we lose game 5 in Miami, he might be too puckered out after having played in games 4 and 5 to be the healthy Robert Williams who stops Bam Adebayo cold in game 6. So I wouldn't be surprised if Boston soft pedals Robert Williams in game 5. Right? I think Boston's targeting game 6. I believe, too, when a team gets embarrassed like this, right? Let's face it, the Heat got flat out embarrassed in game 4, right? You mean to tell me that in a league where superstars average more than 20 points a game, the entire starting 5 couldn't score 20 points in a playoff game? I think the Heat are going to be emotional. I think they're going to come out. They need game 5, because if they lose game 5, they're not going to win game 6. Right? So the way I see this playing out is I think really game 5 is a game 7 here. Right? The Heat need to reestablish themselves, and they can. Because again, Jaylen Brown, 5 of 20 shooting. Derek White, 4 of 14 shooting. Where's the stone cold shooter, the automatic scorer on the Boston Celtics? I don't see that person. Right? Jason Tatum looks great some nights. The problem is, series have 7 games. Jason Tatum's going to fall off at least one of the games. He's fallen off at least one of the games in this series. Right? I can't stake everything on him. Right? Boston's a great defensive team without that final offensive piece that you know you can bank on. Right? If I'm Boston, I really have to think about getting a Bradley Beal type guy. Right? Some guy who I know is a stone cold scorer. They don't have that. So game 5 is going to have a game 7 type atmosphere to it. Right? I'm not willing to cede these playoffs to either team at this point. Right? But I do feel that the team with the advantage is the team with the home court advantage. 2 evenly matched teams. I would lean Boston if I thought Robert Williams could be Robert Williams every night, if I thought he was healthy. I don't. So I'm expecting Robert Williams to not play that much in game 5. When Bam explodes, the Heat win. Let me point out, too, that the Heat have a lot of three-point shooters. And there's going to be a game in this series where they just take over. Right? So for me, my real game is going to be see who wins game 5 and then pick that team to come out of the West. Right? If game 6 is spirited and Robert Williams plays extended minutes, I do not see Boston hopping on the plane to go back to Miami for a game 7 and being able to win that game. Right? The winner of game 5 to me is the team I'm going to back to come out of the Eastern Conference. Right? And this is in a series where both of these teams have already won road games. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I believe Golden State tries to drop the hammer in game 4. Right? Steve Kerr and company know how valuable extra days of rest are. And I believe the Miami Heat necessarily have to give a better performance than they did in their game 4. Right? I think the Heat give a better performance. Here's where coaching comes in. If I were the head coach of Boston, I would say, hey, Robert, player, be next to me here on the bench for game 5. We'll have you out there in game 6 before our people in Boston. then we'll do whatever we have to in Game 7. Right? If you're a gambler and you see that situation unfold, at that point you need to get back up, go to the window and say, hey, I'd like to put more money down on the Golden State Warriors. Right? A Game 7, in my opinion, a Game 7 in this Heat Boston series will allow Golden State to steal home court advantage in the finals by winning one of the first 2 games. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. Let me also say too, the real place to make your money is in the futures market, as you can tell, I believe. Right? When you see situations like a protracted Miami-Boston series, right? Your thought process should be, okay, these 2 teams are killing each other. The value isn't in this round, it's in the next round. I'll take the other team against either of these 2 if these 2 are going to weaken each other. That's how I see it. Of course, that's dependent on what Golden State does in Game 4. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. Thanks for stopping by.